are doing a video about building healthy habits, and I wanted to share that in full disclosure it is sponsored by Different, and I'll get more into that later. I know we haven't done a ton of sponsored content on here, and I do want to be really thoughtful about the way that I would integrate branded content, just because this community here is so important to me, and I feel like I don't want to just be using this as a way to like share products all the time. And so I just want to be thoughtful and make sure that you guys know that if a video is sponsored, that I let you know right away, and also that all opinions are still my own. This is a video that I've been wanting to make anyway, and when the opportunity came up that I was already working with Different over on Instagram and they wanted to be integrated in the video, it felt like a perfect fit. So yeah, I will get more into why they make sense in this video later, well, in just like a little bit. Hi, it's Alex Michael May. Welcome back to my channel. I wanted to just sit down and chat about what healthy habits are looking like for me, how I'm building healthy habits in my life, how I'm making change and understanding that I'm capable of change. Because I think for me, changing habits and doing things that I formerly associated myself as someone that doesn't do XYZ, getting to rewire that is so powerful, because what it really does is it really helps build self-trust. And when you know who you are, you know what you stand for, you know what you're capable of, it's so much easier to believe in yourself. And then you carry that energy with you everywhere you go, which is essentially the entire point of this channel, why I started doing social media and sharing here in the first place, was that I needed a place where I felt I could go and wear what I needed to wear and like express myself in that way and not feel like I needed to hide. And for me, it was social media happened to be that thing. And for you, it could be whatever you're gifted to do, whatever you're called to do. We all have our different giftings. We all have our different ways of doing that. But for me, trusting myself enough to put on an outfit that I liked and to feel confident enough in my body, sharing that publicly felt like a really big deal. And it felt like a huge step. And it truly was a part of building habits as well, was intentionally building a wardrobe that made me feel good, intentionally taking care of myself in a way that feels good. And it's really, in my opinion, all related. So I kind of just wanted to touch on some healthy habits that I'm working on, mind, body, and soul, what's working for me, how I am being gentle with myself in the process, and how I'm not using building these habits and making these changes as yet another way to let myself down or punish myself. You all know the drill, right? You start a new, trigger warning, diet, or you decide you're gonna gung-ho on like bullet planning, or there's a million different ways it could look like, whether it's like you're doing KonMari. It's this all or nothing thinking that is not serving us, when in reality it is progress over perfection. And if you were to spend 5 minutes a day practicing guitar, after a couple months, you'd actually be able to play something, versus you tell yourself you have to practice an hour a day and then you get burned out and you don't have time one day and you think, oh, I've blown it, I might as well give up. That's what I'm trying not to do with all these habits in my life. And I think it's just so easy to let ourselves have yet another reason why we feel like we're not good enough, why we feel like we can't actually do things we set our minds to doing, etc., etc., etc. So we're just not doing that storyline anymore. We don't have time for it. We're gonna take a deep breath. We're gonna exhale. We're gonna leave all that behind, and we're gonna talk about building healthy habits in this video. So some of the habits I've been working on, mind, body, and soul, we're gonna start with, I guess we'll just start with mind, because it goes in that order: mind, body, soul. Okay, so for my mental health, definitely need to spend some solo time with myself. Like, that's so important to me, and I'm learning more and more that the busier my day is or the busier my week is, the more self-care time I need to build in to like account for that, and then I can give from the overflow, and I'm not carrying that energy of being overwhelmed into the next day, into that dinner with my friend. I've been trying to build in specific grounding time, or whatever that looks like for me, even if it's a 5-minute walk around the block. It doesn't have to be huge. Like, sometimes I'll just go outside, put my feet in the ground, and like jump around. It's just this idea of like resetting your energy and resetting the fact that you're being intentional with what you're doing. Because I think previously I would be like go, go, go all day, and I was giving nobody like everything. Like I wasn't giving my all to anything, if that makes sense. So like I would be like going from rush thing to rush thing, and in a meeting I'd be thinking about something else and it wouldn't even be present in the meeting. And then by the time I went to dinner that night, like with a friend or something, I feel like I'd be too busy thinking about what I didn't get done and what was happening the next day. So mentally, giving myself permission to not finish everything on my to-do list, to understand and realize that it's just not all gonna get done. There's this fallacy running around that we can do it all, when in reality, our energy is a pie chart. If you give this much here, there is a finite amount, and there isn't, but there is and there isn't. But if you're giving enough time to things that energize you, you'll have more energy. So if you're giving like a little time every day to relationships that fuel you and feed you and nourish you, if you're taking good care of your body, whatever that looks like for you, like working out or stretching or doing yoga, like those are things that pour back into you so that then you have more to give. So I think the irony is that we think we don't have time to do some of these things, but the reality is that if we take the time to do those things, we have more energy to pour out into those around us and those we love in our work, etc., etc., etc. Some of the things I'm doing for my mind on a daily basis, doesn't again have to be daily, but regularly. I've been really, really loving meditating, and what I think that there's a lot of hype about meditation, and I think it's nice to have quiet time. It's nice to calm your brain. But I think what meditation has done for me in a practical sense is it has allowed me to stop identifying with my feelings as much. So if something's coming up for me, you know, it's overwhelming to me, an emotion comes up or a thought comes up and I get stuck in that thought loop. Oftentimes we'll jump to the worst case scenario, we'll jump to fear, we'll jump to whatever that thing is, we'll identify with that thought and we will believe that our whole life is derailing. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. And it feels so real. But through meditation, I've learned a little bit more, it's an ongoing process, to be more of a conscious observer of my thoughts, meaning that instead of like a thought coming up and derailing me and like taking it to the worst case scenario, I'm able to like acknowledge like, there's a fear around that. That's interesting. I'm gonna just make note of that and we'll continue. I get to see myself as a container, and that's just something that comes up in that, instead of like, that's my reality, instead of identifying with every scary thought that comes my way, with which, if you've ever dealt with anxiety or, you know, trauma or anything like that, it's so easy for those to come up because they're literally wired in our brains to protect us. Because when something goes wrong, our brains are computers. It stores it. We've got to watch out for that next time. So I know that it's there to protect me, and it helps me just be curious about when it comes up. And then I can decide, is this relevant? Is this an old story that I get the opportunity to rewrite? What does that look like? So yeah, just spending time with myself consciously in that way is important. Even if it's just a few minutes a day, I've noticed makes a big difference for me. And then also doing my breath work also feels like that for me, because I love just doing the Wim Hof method. If you just Google Wim Hof method breathing here on YouTube, that's the one that I follow along with every day. There's so many different ways you can do breath work. It brings you into your body, and the benefit of being fully in your body is that your mind kind of quiets down for a little bit. And if your brain is quite loud like mine and there's a lot of intrusive thoughts and a lot going on, sometimes it's really nice to be able to just like reset that energy, if that makes sense. Journaling is a great brain dump. I've been doing that in the morning, and I don't do it every morning. I do it when I feel the need to or when I feel called to. But it is a practice and a discipline that I'd like to get back into, because I personally feel called to that discipline, but it's not, again, I got to the point where my morning routine became like, if I do this perfectly and if I'm a good girl and I do my morning routine perfectly, I'm gonna have a good day. I would get almost like superstitious about it. And I don't think that's helpful. That's not actually helping. So I have all these tools in my little toolbox and I reach for them when I need them. This is also so silly, and I absolutely don't know if this is like real or not, but I have this app where I've been playing these like brain games that have been really fun for me, like reading comprehension, brevity, like some like math, whatever. I don't know why I've been having fun with it. Leave it to me to like use my free time to like better myself. That's my favorite thing to do, is to like, let's do shadow work, or like, let's dig into our trauma. Like when I have like free time, I'm like, let's work on ourselves. Let's be better. Everything I do has like an outcome attached to it, and it is getting exhausting. So that leads me to my final point about your mind stuff, is I have just been having so much fun letting myself do like active meditation. So whether that's doing something creative with your hands. Some people like to do puzzles. My sister and her husband love doing puzzles. I have this little like Buddha board. I think I shared it with you guys when I was in at that little cabin retreat. It's just this little board where you have like water and paint, and you can paint with it. And it's so cool and it's so fun. I'll put footage of me doing it here. I love to put on some relaxing music or meditation music or singing bowls or something, light a candle and just paint for like ever. And it doesn't even like, I don't try to make anything specific. I just do whatever feels right. And then as it dries, like it becomes this beautiful abstract piece, and it's so wild. I never could have planned some of the cool stuff that comes out of it. And it's a way to just kind of be creative without an outcome. I absolutely love this thing because you can just let your mind wander and go free. And the best part is that it just dries and it's gone. My perfectionism doesn't even want me to paint. Like it doesn't even want me to like have fun with like colors and painting, because if it's ugly, I will feel bad about myself. Like I expect to like go to the art store and buy canvas and be like an actual artist and create a masterpiece for my wall. That is not real. They say it takes 10,000 hours to be an expert of everything. And for some reason, I expect myself to be good at everything immediately, or else I don't even want to try. The fear of failure is so real. So I find that that's just like another thing where my mind just gets quite busy, and just getting to paint and be creative and free with no outcome is important. And another silly thing I've done is I've been playing my Nintendo Switch so much. I'm obsessed with playing like old Mario games, or games that like have nostalgia attached to them, just feel good to me. Also, like we've been using Blue Apron non-spawn. I've just been buying it because we've been wanting to have like nice meals. So like cooking along with a recipe, anything that kind of puts you in the moment and works as like something that you're putting all your focus there and you're really able to be in the present, is another really great way to kind of calm your mind. Those are the habits that I've been forming for my mind. For my body, as you guys know, I did some things a few videos back about where I am with my body journey, but it's just been something that's been coming back up for me after years of working on it, and me thinking like, oh, I've got this, I've tackled this one now. Like, no, it's back, it's still there. Or I don't know if it's accurate to say it's back as much as it's accurate to just say like these things, these deep grooves in our mind, in our brains are there, and they were like created while our brains were still forming. So as we build better habits, new self-talk, we heal, we are like paving over it with new pathways and new ways of looking at things. But when we get stressed, it's so easy to kind of just like revert to that old fear, that old mindset when you're in fight or flight. It's just so normal. So I'm giving myself a lot of grace around it feeling like all the work I've done and all of the effort I've put into stuff. Like when, you know, healing, they always say healing isn't linear, and it's not like point A to point B and then you've arrived. This arrival fantasy is fake. Like we're going to be working on ourselves our whole lives. There's going to be challenges our whole lives. But amidst all that, there's also joy, there's also fun, there's also growth. And I think the goal for me is to just be able to look back and say, wow, I have been learning, I have been growing. Everything is a lesson, and I'm open to where this is taking me, and try to just release control over where I think I should be, where I think everything is going, and try to just live a little more in the moment and be a little more open to the universe surprising me with something even better than what I could have planned. So for my body, first of all, practically skincare. I'm not sure if you guys do follow me on Instagram, but I did do a 3-week challenge to wash my face every night. I wasn't even taking my makeup off at night because I think I just was feeling so frustrated with my skin. I'm like, who cares? Like, it's not like, no, it felt like no matter what I was doing, I was experiencing like breakouts. I was experiencing like redness and blotchiness. And now I'm so happy to say this is my skin without makeup on. And I can't actually even handle that right now, because I used to feel like a little embarrassed of my skin. Like for me, even just a little bit of like the blotchiness of not being able to just feeling like I had to do a lot of coverage to even just do my makeup. And I felt like it was such a trend for a while, like the clean girl thing of like just using tinted moisturizer and like certain brands that were such like natural looking makeup. And I was like, cute for all you guys, but I don't get to do that. And it kind of like made me annoyed. And I know that I have, you know, great healthy skin, and I'm so grateful for my health. But that being said, we still want what we want. We still compare ourselves to others. And for me, deciding that I was going to show love to my skin and I was going to take care of myself no matter what was a huge turning point. So for now, for the past month, I've been taking my makeup off at night no matter what. And I've been doing a morning and a nighttime skin routine, including like in the morning, like washing my face, using my products, and then using sunscreen. And at night, same, taking my makeup off so that I wake up and my skin looks like this now. And I'm actually shocked. I really didn't think that skincare could make that much of a difference, but it does. So in addition to my routine of like cleanser, toner, whatever, I feel like this is like an $18 holy grail product if you are experiencing acne. It's more of a long form. So this is this is a Dappling gel. It is approved for over the counter, so you don't need a prescription for it. So if you are dealing with acne and you are looking for something, I was just gonna break down a little bit of what this product does, what the benefits are, etc. It is a product for clearing acne. It is not a spot treatment, so it's not gonna be something that you put on an active thing just to make it go away and then stop. It's something to incorporate into your routine regularly. And it has adapalene, which is it's a retinoid. So if you guys are familiar with the concept of like acids and retinoids and stuff like that, that it is a retinoid, and it will help clear acne. It'll help give you a brighter, clear complexion if that's something that you struggle with. You do use like a little pea-sized amount, put it all over your face after cleansing, and then you follow with a moisturizer and sunscreen. Make sure you use sunscreen because it can make your skin just a little more sensitive. So this is something that if you're looking for something to make a big difference, I know there are other retinoids on the market, but they are much more pricey. This one has been like the leader in the market for a really long time. And again, like I said, the price point can't be beat and you don't need a prescription for it. If you are looking for something to clear your skin, if you want me to do a full skincare video, I'm happy to just share what I've been doing and what's working for me. But the main thing I think is consistency and making sure that you are using either like an AHA or an acid or a retinoid or something that can help turn over new skin, etc., and just give you like that brighter complexion. Because I think I noticed skin texture improvement, a brighter complexion, and more evenness of my skin tone when I was very consistent with my skincare routine in general. And my skin just feels better all together. Not saying just from this product, I'm saying holistically everything that I've done. My skin's feeling more moisturized, which hydration break. If you're watching this video, stop right now and drink water because hydration is key. It's the key to your beauty and your skin health from the inside out. So water is another thing for my body that I've been doing that is so, so important. And when we're talking about building healthy habits, if like me, you did struggle with skincare, you've struggled with being consistent in any way, something that's really helped me is habit stacking. You kind of build it into something else so that it just becomes natural to you. So for me, every night, the boy goes to work. He's working overnights right now. And I kind of like do my own thing. And as he gets up to get ready for work, he gets ready, he brushes his teeth, he does this stuff. And so we kind of do this little routine together before bed. And I found like, as far as taking my makeup off, I identified what bothered me with taking my makeup off. It was a lot of work. It was uncomfortable, the things that I was using. And so I found things that worked for me. If something annoys you, if you can identify the reason why you're not doing something, and then you can get in there and like kind of reconfigure and make it less annoying for you in any way, you have a better chance of keeping that habit going. Another thing is if I'm getting ready for bed alone, I love putting on a podcast, or in the morning when I'm doing my morning routine, I will like put on a little bit of music. I just try to make it an enjoyable experience and not something that I rush through to get through the next thing. Because if it's something I look forward to and it feels good, like in the morning, I love using my ice roller, I love using my cryo stuff and giving myself a facial massage. Like it's a part of my routine that feels good. Whatever that looks like for you, but just think about what would make this enjoyable, what is annoying me about it that makes me avoid it, and how can I kind of find solutions for that. Also for my body, I've been working with a nutritionist, as I mentioned in another video, and a trainer, as I mentioned in another video, to kind of get into the habit of working out. So today I had a workout and I've been feeling really off and I did not want to do the workout, and I wanted to cancel. I didn't cancel. I wanted to see if we would just like take a walk or do something easier, and I decided I'm just gonna do the best I can, and if it's not that great today, that's okay. I think a lot of the reason why I avoid doing things sometimes is that feeling of not doing it well, and that perfectionism, and that feeling of like, if I don't do it perfectly, I shouldn't do it at all. So I'm like, if I don't have a really tough, perfect, hard, productive workout. And then I had to ask myself, why are you working out? I'm not working out to punish my body into submission. I'm working out to move my body lovingly and to restore balance in my mind and my body, to return to my body. And so when I switched my perspective about it, I felt completely different. And we went through the moves today, and some of them were challenging, and I honestly like got a little emotional and like frustrated, and like I wasn't loving it. But I communicated with her, hey, I'm having an off day. I'm gonna do the best I can, and I'm just gonna be okay with that. And she's like, perfect, great, that's what we're here for. And she reminds me Love her. She's a body neutral trainer, and she specifically has experienced disordered eating, and she just kind of gets that perspective. And so I love the idea of knowing that I have support in that, which is another way that you can really support yourself, is by opening yourself up to and finding your people in any given area of your life, because the right people will really support you and uplift you, and they won't reinforce that like critical parent or that shame voice that's already in your head. The last thing we need to do is attract people to like that. So just something else to be thoughtful of is that the people that we choose to spend time with, or because like we have so many choices, right? Like, this is such a silly example, but I was going to a nail lady who I felt like kind of bullied me, and I was scared of her. And then I found another one that was nicer. And it's just like, why do we need to subject ourselves to things like this when we don't have to, right? And so even down to like which gym you go to, like Emily and I talked about in the other video, like there's so many ways to love and support yourself by having your own back in all these little decisions and doing things that work for you. So for me, moving my body afterwards, I told her, I'm like, you know what? It felt really good to move my body. I was able to take out any aggression on the weights. I was able to like stretch and move and feel in my body, and it removed like the stiffness that I was feeling today. And I actually felt better that I worked out, even though I only got through 2 rounds, not even completely. And even though I did the best I could and it wasn't great, it doesn't matter because I showed up for myself, and that's what my body's registering, right? It's not registering that I didn't do it perfectly, and I'm just tired of that narrative. So like I said, trying to look at what it means to eat thoughtfully, move my body thoughtfully. So for my body, those are some healthy habits that I have been working on. I love taking my hot girl walks at night. I love going for a walk at sunset. In fact, I canceled plans with a friend last night because I desperately wanted a sunset walk. And I was like, can we do this another night? Like, I want to get my walk in. I want to get my bath in. Like, I need to do that. And that brought up for me, hey, we should be able to have the kind of friendships and relationships that we can honestly communicate what's going on, ask for help when needed, ask for space when needed, and be able to take care of ourselves. So that's another thing I've been doing for myself, is giving my body rest when I need it. Even if that means possibly disappointing people, I'm not gonna have anything left to give if I don't take care of myself first. So yeah. And also the last thing I'm gonna say about body stuff is, and food stuff, is like eating foods that are enjoyable, nutritious, have fun trying new recipes. So a way that I did that, again, with like making it easy on yourself, we decided to sign up for Blue Apron. There's so many other meal services, and I'm totally open to suggestions. But for me, I'm like, it takes the guesswork out of it, out of the planning. It actually saves money on groceries. It saves time. And it's good. It's like a little insurance policy that I'm going to cook for myself and take care of myself and enjoy these recipes. So it's all about working, in my opinion, smarter and not harder. So when it comes to body stuff, those are just some of the things I've been doing, along with just, I love my little baths and like the little routines that feel luxurious for me. And now soul, because I think we're going like mind, body, soul. Yeah, for me, it's just been about spending some quiet time in nature. For me, nature is so restorative. I don't know if you guys, if you follow me on social, I love my hammock. So when especially like if I just need to take a quiet time away, it's a beautiful little retreat to even do that breath work or that meditation I'm talking about. Just take some time, be in nature for 10 minutes. I was having a day last week, and I went and got my hammock as like a nice little reward, and it like spliced open and dumped me on the ground. And I was like, why? I was so mad. And I was like, cool, way to further my body image issues. Way to like take, like, I was so annoyed. And then I just had to laugh about it, and it was kind of funny. But anyway, I love spending time outside in nature. For me, like every morning I try to go outside barefoot and just like ground and like kind of just do this little energy cleansing thing. And I just like to poke around my yard. Like today, when I was doing my workout, my trainer and I were talking about some deep things, as we always do. Like, look at me, this is all I ever talk about. And right when we were talking about something, like this most beautiful monarch butterfly like went by, and I just love just having those little moments of appreciation with nature. Like there's a hummingbird that comes by. I love seeing which flowers are blooming. And just like last night, I had this plumeria tree in my yard, and so I pulled some fresh plumeria flowers to put in my bath. Little just, I don't know, for me, nature is a huge one, and I know it's different for everyone, and I know some of us live in cities where it's really hard to access that. Can you bring in a house plant? Can you take a weekend trip to the beach? Can you go hiking? Can you get some fresh air? Like, what does that look like for you? I do think that there is something healing that happens when we are in contact with nature. So for me, that quiet time in nature is important. And for you, it might be a yoga class, or it might be, I don't know what it is for you, but that's what this video is about, is asking these questions and just having us get to know ourselves and each other a little bit better. Watching my social media intake, I'll find like, I'll just be sitting in a dark room and like sitting in a room until it gets dark. And then I'll just be scrolling, and I'll also be like holding my pee, and I have to pee, and I'll be thirsty, and I'll be like hunted up in a really uncomfortable position. And then I'll notice, I'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm a robot. I got sucked into this. So I like take a breath, roll my shoulders, get up, reset the room. Sparky and I call it resetting the room. If we like eat and we're like watching a show or something, or if like we need to take a break, we're like, let's reset the room, let's reset the room. So I love this idea of just getting to reset the room at any time when you notice that something doesn't feel right. So I just think sometimes we go unconsciously without realizing it. And so it's just taking those little moments to slow down and say, I've been scrolling for a long time. It's leaving me feeling like I'm doing some comparison. That's not healthy. I don't need to do that. I want to take care of myself, so I'm going to do X, Y, Z. Or, you know, and whatever that looks like. Or it might be like, this person makes me not feel great when I follow them, so I'm going to listen to that, and I'm going to choose to give my energy elsewhere, or whatever that might be. General media intake. Like, I do like to have quiet time or listen to music or read a book instead of constantly being on a screen. It is so hard these days, right, to monitor that, but it's just something that I'm staying aware of. In general, slowing down and creating spaciousness in my life. Like even today, I've got a lot going on. Surprise, I'm going out of town, and like I'm not even ready. And just even in the midst of the chaos, giving myself permission to slow down, do one thing at a time, be thoughtful about the things I'm doing. I know we all have so many things to do, but as much as we can, just give ourselves a little spaciousness. I think it goes a really long way. And my soul is craving spaciousness right now. It's craving taking the time to make a meal and not just shoving something in my mouth while doing 7 other things. There are times where we have to do that. And I can't even imagine those of you who have kids and have, you know, multiple demanding jobs or partners or long commutes. Like, I totally understand that there are so many factors involved. And I think this is just an invitation to just kind of get curious about what we do have power over and what we can shift and how we can best take care of ourselves no matter what's going on in our lives. Because I think the goal is, right, we do want to be busy. We do want to be successful. And how can we balance that with taking good care of ourselves? Because if we achieve all these things, what's the point if we are burned out and unhappy and unhealthy and our relationships are suffering, etc.? It's like such a ripple effect in either direction. There's been a lot of tools for my soul. Like, I've been doing therapy. I've played around with somatic experiencing a little bit. If something's really bothering me and I'm looping on it in my mind and I can't quite get my brain to be like, to kind of like hush down a little bit, and it's looping on something, essentially, I guess, like if my anxiety is taking over, one thing that's been helpful for me is doing a fear inventory and being like, okay, what is the worst case scenario? What am I so afraid of? Even giving myself the spaciousness to like acknowledge that feeling and process it before moving on, and not, you know, like, there's just so many ways in which we can be gentle with ourselves and process these things. And then as far as home stuff goes, I think I'm learning more and more how much my environment affects my mental health and vice versa. So I'll notice that if I'm kind of struggling in one area, the house looks wild and I'm not taking good care of myself and I'm not taking good care of my space and I just don't have time and I'm overwhelmed. I don't really know which comes first, like the chicken or the egg, right? It's like, do I keep my house clean because my mental health is good? Or is like my environment just indicative of where my mental health is at? And I think it's a little bit of both. I think if you do something to shift the energy in your space and kind of clean it and rearrange it, like that can help move the energy in your mind and body as well. So I think it's a little bit of both. Let me know if you guys have an opinion on that, because I'm actually quite interested to know your theories. It's just something I've observed in myself. But as far as that happens, as far as like the house stuff goes, I find that I feel a lot more calm when my space is a little bit more in order, looking better. And so as I've been combining households with my partner, it's been very challenging to figure out whose stuff goes where, who's responsible for what. It's also been like interesting to see that I am so used to living the way that I lived without taking another person's like needs, I guess, into consideration. So like, whereas I might just like to leave a mess in the kitchen knowing I'll clean it later, that actually really affects him and it makes him feel uneasy. And so just trying to be respectful of the way that I'm doing things and just reconfiguring that has been interesting. So yeah, I think we've been able to communicate through it really beautifully and share like, this is why I feel this way and and like come to a solution in that moment so that resentments aren't harbored. And yeah, in general, I just, I've been working with my organizer, Christine, which is how I met Emily. And yeah, she was here. There's going to be a video coming up either before or after this. I'm not sure about like my closet purge and reorganization. Just being thoughtful about the items that I bring into my home and what's going out. I just did a big pickup from the Plus Bus. So I know a lot of you have asked, like, do I Poshmark, do I Depop? I currently have been selling through the Plus Bus, like giving my clothes there, and then they sell some. I think they donate some. There's like a combination therein. But yeah, you can check out the Plus Bus if you are interested in buying any of my gently used clothing. And I'm not sure, I'll continue to share as that shakes down where I end up putting that stuff. But I think I've been conscious to consider how my space is working for me. I love the idea that my therapist gave me about a 10-minute tidy. So at the end of the day, she's like, just set a timer and just get what you can get through in 10 minutes. Or she's like, if you're having someone come over, just do what you can do in 10 minutes. And you can do 10 minutes a room if you've got more time, etc. But just that little bit does make such a big difference, and you can get so much done in that time. I have not been making my bed every day, and that's something that really I felt like fed my soul. I woke up and I felt like I started my day with order and purpose. And it's also so nice to get into a made bed at the end of the day. So that's another thing, again, with the perfectionism. It doesn't have to be perfect, but if you can say like, okay, first thing I do is I get up, put my feet on the ground, you know, I brush my teeth, I make my bed, like whatever it looks like for you. But making my bed is something that has always kind of signified to me like, oh, we're doing all right now. Like, we're doing okay. If we have the space to do this, we can remember to do this. Like, I feel like that's always something, and I'm not doing that right now. So that's just something for me to look out and wonder. In general, like not having things around that don't serve me anymore. When we combined households, we went through all of Sparky's cooking stuff because he's like a lot more into like cooking, and he's got like nicer things in that department than I do. And so we looked at what I had that could go and what he had that stayed, and what things neither of us had that was a gap that we kind of needed to like think about getting, whether like little items like that for the kitchen. So whether you have a friend come over and help you organize, or whether you label things, like I don't know what that looks like for you. Even if it's just setting a timer for 10 minutes a day to like improve your space or make it feel like it's working for you, I think that's great. But yeah, that's something that I've been working on, is trying to get things really organized and great. I have a little side room that I'm dreaming of making into a little reading and writing nook that I haven't done. So I'm doing that for myself. So I had to like get everything out of that room. I'm just kind of doing some cleansing, some purging. And then the last thing is I love having my plants. And so I've been wanting to try this app called Plantin, which I'm going to try just to like keep me on track for like watering plants. I'm like, how can I streamline my life to make it work for me and not vice versa? Whether that's like calendaring, streamlining, that's just an example of it that I was thinking. Is I'm like, why do I let my plants like almost die and then bring them back? Do I get a thrill out of it? Like, what's going on? So like anything that I can automate in my life, the better. You can set timers and reminders for bill pay so that doesn't stress you out. You can even down to like watering your plants. Like, I don't know why that one's occurring to me because I'm looking at my plant right now that's like kind of struggling, and I'm like, that's another thing, just to clear up mind space and to take good care of my home. I consider that to be like home and soul, like all combined. So I'm just trying to think if there's any other habits that I've been working on forming. If you guys want to talk more about habit stacking, if you want to talk more about some of the specific tools that work for me, I'm happy to share about like my morning routine and all that stuff. But I think the topic of this video is to just, I guess, invite you into conversation with yourself about how you're taking care of yourself, how you could better possibly take care of yourself, but not in a punishing way, in an enriching way. And what does that look like for you? So if this video was helpful for you, and if you want any more information, do comment and let me know. But I kind of wanted to just leave it with maybe a little journal prompt of like, in what ways, like you could write mind, body, soul, home, work, relationships, if you wanted to like categorize it, and just say like, what things in these areas are working? What are my biggest pain points in each one of these areas? And then just kind of get curious with each one, like, what payoff am I getting from still doing this behavior, or what's preventing me from making a change? What is the easiest way I can make a change in this area or in this arena, and how can I do it, you know, imperfectly, but show up consistently in this way? And I just think it's just something to look at, because I'm realizing more and more like how much choice we have over where our energy goes, how we spend our time, like what we do with our time that is ours. And I think for me, I'm just in a point where I'm like, I don't want to continue to be in a cycle of things aren't working, and so then I'm complaining about them to people but not making changes, and like just asking myself, why do I continue to sit in these areas that are so uncomfortable? There's a time to sit in discomfort, for sure. There is a time to, you know, like discomfort is a part of life, totally. But we don't need to make it harder on ourselves, right? We need to support ourselves and love ourselves and take good care of ourselves. So yeah, those are just all the things I've been thinking as far as like what habits I'm working on, healthy habits I'm building. Can't wait for your feedback on this one because I talked a lot, but I just feel like these are the conversations I'm having with my people, and so I'm just wondering if it's something that resonates with you as well. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for giving me a reason to show up every week. And yeah, I will also put a link below to the different product that I shared. Like I said, this is sponsored by them, but all opinions are my own. I'm really happy with the clearness of my skin right now. I haven't had any new breakouts, even though I have been using the ice cream maker. Even though the dairy's been happening, somehow the acne hasn't. So yes, I hope that this was helpful, and let me know what other topics within this you want to discuss, if any. And just again, thanks so much for being here. If you happen to find this video and it's your first time here and you decide you want to be a part of the community, that'd be amazing. Comment below, introduce yourself, say hi, or if you feel free to DM me over on Instagram. I do more short form content over on Instagram and TikTok, and yeah, post here several times a week. So stick around. We're so glad to have you. And if you're a returning BFF, thanks so much, and I will catch you on the next video. Bye.